Before we get into a conversation, it's important for me to acknowledge that the Pivot Muse podcast is brought to us by Melanin Muse. And Melanin Muse is our love letter to Black women. We are sharing our genius and our impact on this world. It's our time. As you have pivoted throughout your life and career, who are your Melanin Muses and how have they impacted you on this journey?
Wow, my grandmother, for sure. She was the first, and she was a businesswoman. My whole history, everything I know about her was she was a hustler, a go-getter. My grandmother was born in 1923. She had 12 kids, and I never saw anything like that, honestly. Of course, my mother definitely was my muse in a million ways. She taught me everything in terms of survival and how to get back up. Life wasn't always easy. I saw her make something that was hard looked real easy. So she definitely was that for me. My sister, Tracy, was definitely, when I think about Black women and women who motivated me as I came up. And that's also the backdrop of my story. I didn't have any older brothers. And yeah, I guess I was one of the older of the cousins and not a lot of boys in my family. I got a lot of my strengths from the women around. I was lucky enough to meet you and be inspired by you and your greatness and your passion for your family first, Nadia, our daughter, of course. In truth, when we met, I was inspired, honestly, by you and that, your motherhood and what you bring to the party when it comes to coming from the hood and still having aspirations of making something out yourself. And again, showing that to our daughter and putting her in position to do the same. So, I
I
mean,
love
of course, you're bright and beautiful. So,
it. Well, thank you, darling. The Pivot Muse brings you curated stories and advice from global professionals, making one of life's most important decisions, which is the pivot. I'm your host, Natina Marie. Our guest today is Diallo Hill, my amazing husband, master carpenter, and woodworking enthusiast. He is the owner of Lego Works Pros and creator of Handyman to 5-star pro. Thank you so much for joining me.
wow, thank you. Wow, I've never been introduced before like that. That feels good. I can get used to that.
Exactly. So let's get real. I want to say something first because I know obviously your story, your life has been full of pivotal moments, and many of them have been intentional. Intentional in ways to navigate out of some of life's challenging and tough situations, whether it was just life or career. One of your personal quotes that is one of my favorite is fear restricts movement. And I've
Hmm.
shared this quote on the show now a few times. And since we have you here, I would love for you to let the people know what you mean by fear restricts movement.
Wow. Okay. That's something I actually learned from my younger brother. He basically provoked the thought for me to think about it on a deep level. He went through some hard times, and takeaway from that, from his situation, was that he figured out through the advice of some OGs and some people that was trying to mentor him, where they recognized his biggest pitfall was, and it was his growth, and he was constantly being stunted by simply fear. He was capable. He had a guy who recognized that one quality in him and told him, hey, man, I see your strengths, I see your abilities, but I also see your fear. And that's what's stopping you. So we were teenagers. It's just something that stuck with me and something that I realized is actually the only thing that really stops you from being able to be who you want to be. And it's really the fear of success. I done had plenty of fear of success because I never knew what it looked like. I honestly didn't see it. So you get caught up in that and it become a way of life. I think that fear part, it becomes a learned trait. It becomes something that you adopt. It becomes you. Not finishing things and it becomes normal, but it's all driven by fear. That's all.
I love it. Sometimes I may be venting about something. I'm like, why won't this person do XYZ? You would just say it like as a reminder, hey, fear restricts movement. That's why it's not happening.
But it stops the thought process. It stops an idea. If you get scared, you're gonna do one of two things: fight or run. It's the fight or flight syndrome. Once you get scared, you either come up with a solution and you approach it like you approach an application, a job. You could just step to it with courage or you don't. And that's the whole thing. But once you're too scared, you stop coming up with new ideas, things that's going to actually solve the problem versus you just constantly spinning in it. You never get nowhere. As soon as you get there, you done.
Thank you. What do you think is your most impactful, pivotal moment in your life that really shaped who you are now?
My most pivotal, impactful moment was when I recognized that I had to change my thinking process. Really about how I see things. It was about the way that I was thinking. Because that's the foundation of it all. Until you see things another way, you can't go in that direction. You're gonna be stuck in a series of repeats. Things won't change. Where you stop feeling like a victim, you stop seeing your disadvantage and you start seeing the difference. I recognize I was born with a lot of medical conditions, as you know. I'm an Agent Orange baby, is what I call it, because my father was in Vietnam. It's a big historical thing. You can look it up. But basically, he was affected by it. A lot of troops was affected by it. It changed me when I was born. But I recognized as I was going to school early on that as much as my condition was a bad thing to me and I was feeling like a victim, I started seeing the beauty in it. I started recognizing that, that don't stop me. I started seeing girls still like me. It's one of those things where it's like I might see my uphill battle, but I'm starting to see they feel like I have an advantage. And not just because it was given to me, it's just because they can see in you, they see what you bring to the party.
That was great. I'm glad you brought up your beginnings. Obviously, you were born with this resiliency. From what you told me was that the doctors didn't think you would live. So they were telling your mom that her baby wouldn't live past a certain age. I love the fact that you realized young, oh, I might have physical issues due to my medical issues that I don't like, but hey, the girls still like me.
That's right. Hey, listen, I knew I was in there,
Sometimes
but I can't play basketball, but your girl like me.
exactly. I love that. When you talk about changing your mindset, that was the start of it. But was there anything else that you feel like at a point in your life where you realized that you needed to change your way of thought to get where you're trying to go?
I always had dreams more of my conditions, but I was firm with my reality. Both of them was in front of me. My dream, but my reality kept me grounded. I knew not to buy too much into my reality because I did believe that it could be more. So I'm gonna keep pushing. And I knew early my attitude was going to determine that. The only way you could be successful is the buy-in. The people have to buy into whatever the idea is. For me, I was buying into the idea of some of the things people were saying when they said you can do this, despite my reality.
I love that. Now you're here as a master carpenter and woodworking enthusiast. Give us a little glimpse into how you first became a handyman and when was that in your life?
I can almost equate it to knowing magic or just, I always had an interest. Things would just puzzle me. I've been a tinkerer. Everybody who ends up doing something like this, you start out as a kid, your mama cussing you out. What you tearing my stuff up for? Or if something broke, I call myself, I'm gonna fix it. I'm a fixer. So it started from that, wanting to please, wanting to chip in and do something. And I started that as a kid. I had a screwdriver and a hammer and a piece of concrete that was perfect slab. My cat had died. And I was 12 and it just killed me. I wanted to do something to honor Shushu. Shushu was my cat. Shushu was a black cat, coolest cat on the planet. So anyway, that was my boy. I wanted to make him a headstone, and I wanted everybody to be there at the funeral. I carved his name and I carved him a whole headstone, and it was cool. Then I had wood shop around the same time. I fell in love with wood. Fell in love with my shop teacher. That's where it really started.
I love it. I love humble beginnings.
What motivated me, and it was just that it was pain. Pain is a part of the formula. It's pain points in business, right? In order to have a marketable product, you need to be addressing a pain point, right? That's a big part of it. Boom, that's where it starts.
Right. Answering those pain points. Over several years, you are handyman, navigating through your career and also having a hustle on the side when you left to move from Detroit to Atlanta. Handyman services have really been in your back pocket as something that you knew. I want you to talk a little bit about this journey of how you obtained your skills and talk about being a student of the game.
I like that. Becoming a handyman was definitely not on purpose. It was a means to an end. For me, I go back to, at best, I go to mid 90s, 95, 96. Actually, starting around 94. During those days, I had no clue what I was doing. You could have never told me this would have led to this part of my journey. But it was real. I needed some money. I started as a laborer, going to help a guy clean out old houses. He was working with a mortgage guy, an investor. It was like a team of these guys, whatever, rich white guys. But they had money. I'm from Detroit. I'm in the hood. They had these houses. So we would go in and start cleaning everything out, doing demo. As I'm doing the demo, I'm not knowing, I'm learning the basics to how to do the work. As I'm doing that, I'm starting to pick up little tricks here, how to take something apart. So I'm saying to myself, well, if I can take it apart, maybe I can put it together. And I did that for a few years, just a way to make some money. I got out of it. And later on, around year 2000 or so, I ended up remodeling my own bathroom. When I got finished with it, people thought that I actually had a company come in and do it. I was even impressed. I'm like, wow, man, maybe I got something that can turn into actually making money. Let's say around three, four, five. During those days is when I started taking it more serious. Prior to that, I would just do work for myself. Before I was a laborer, now I'm actually the guy taking jobs from you. I'm redoing your floor. Started building confidence, and of course, the first few people were my guinea pigs. Somebody had to be the test tube baby. I learned in real time what to do. I started figuring out how to handle homeowners, how to talk to people about the works. I just built it from there. Over the years, I thought I was taking it serious, but I still didn't believe fully in my real talent. I ended up being in different situations. I moved to Seattle, got a lot of experience in Seattle, working for a big custom kitchen installer. I learned a lot of tricks from guys and it grew into more of a passion at that point.
I love that. How does a Detroit guy from the hood end up in Seattle? Just how did you make that decision? How did you get there?
Talking. To be honest, I almost got myself in some trouble. It's 2007. The economy collapsed back then. So anyway, it was right before the end. Some guys were in Detroit looking for people. They were trying to take advantage of what they know from the Detroiters. We got grit, we hard working, blue collars, right? They trying to pick up some talent from Detroit. I see an ad in like one of those free papers that they said they're hiring. They'll move you cross country. I'm like, whoa, we'll pay your moving costs $5,000. That's all I saw. $5,000. All right, let's go. And it's gonna get me out of here. You're gonna pay for me to get out my troubles, and you're gonna set me up with a new apartment, new job, and you're gonna start paying me. I'm gonna be make $25 an hour. Oh, that's for me. I went to the interview and I talked my way into the job. Honestly, that's all it was. I went in, BS my way through the interview. He liked me. Two white guys. They said we need somebody like you. Pack up, load up, move cross country. Get there, and there's 104 employees at the company, 56 installers. They call us project managers. I was the only black face in the company. So, and then it was like, nah, it's on. So I had to figure it out. I'm like, oh man, they about to find out.
I love the story because you took a chance on yourself. And sometimes we do have to fake it till we make it, especially in an interview, because you know that you're talented. You have had this history of getting to the point where you never had training to remodel a bathroom, but you remodel a bathroom. I love the fact that you didn't deal with the imposter syndrome that some people deal with in that situation. You was focused on the opportunity. You didn't lean into fear.
There you
Because if
go.
you'd have leaned
Uh,
into the fear, you wouldn't have ended up the only black person in Seattle working for a national brand that was remodeling kitchens and bathrooms.
that's true.
The folks that we invite to the show, of course, you're here as my husband, but you're also a master of the art of the pivot. How do you find yourself making sure that you stay self aware of who you are, your value?
Quick story when it comes to, like you say, betting on yourself. I'm from Detroit. We always bet on ourselves. Is it just ain't nobody else to bet on? If it's somebody else in the room, it's a natural thing. That's just the way it goes. I work with this guy now. At the time, so I'm 35 years old. This guy was a white guy, had been to the army. He was a different kind of soldier. And he was a soldier all day about it, by himself. He stayed in his army fatigues and whatever. I learned a lot from this guy. He had a lot of self discipline. We're at a client's house on one of his jobs. We share job situations. So I'm there and I'm talking to his client. And I'm just going. I'm just talking. I'm just running. And I can do this. I can do that. I'm in my zone. He just leaned back and he said, oh, Diallo. He called me out. He said, you just don't stop, do you? Ha ha ha. He laughed it off. That was one of the first times I saw myself. I saw a guy that needed to change and grow. I saw somebody that needed to be more self aware. I saw the arrogant side of myself, and it was the most embarrassed I've ever been. It happened again, probably a few weeks later. I was going through a rough time. I was stressed. I was going through a lot. Another older guy, I'm talking, and I'm just running. And he said, ha ha ha, man, you saying a lot. He was cool. He eased his way back. He eased his way away from me. I saw myself again, and I heard myself. I said, oh, wow, man, you're doing it again. That was a wake up moment for me to realize, like, all right, you from the hood, you got a lot of passion, you believe in yourself, you got what it takes, you just need a chance. I'm hungry. That's the way I see it. I needed to temper that. I needed for somebody to be able to stand me or take me enough to be in the room. That was when I started being more self aware and consciously started to try to temper that. And then also be able to put myself in a position to be seen for the passion and the drive. That's one of my passions. I try to mentor youngsters to try to work that out because I understand it.
That's a great point and some gems that you just shared. You brought up the mentoring. I think this is a great time for us to transition into something really amazing that you have coming up. I want to give you your flowers here right now. Let's talk about this new training program that's launching later this year. It's called Handyman to 5-Star Pro. My new nickname for you is HD, okay? Because anyone that knows you knows they can find you at Home Depot. You've been
Oh, I
spending some
thought that
time
meant
or some
heavy
money.
duty. My bad.
Yep, heavy duty too, but
Okay.
HD, it can stand for different things. Really love this. It's no surprise that you have moved to Atlanta and of taking your handyman skills that were self-taught, being a student of the game. You've trained in inspections, you trained in epoxy floors, whether you're doing it yourself or even taking the opportunity to go to a class so that you can enhance your skills. You're always doing this, and I love that. How did you get started with this program through Home Depot called Pro Referral that led you
Mhm.
here to becoming now a trainer in it?
Okay. This venture was the beginning of a lot of ideas. It's the beginning of a whole lot of efforts to try to share what I've been doing with other people, other guys, with the successes, all the things that came out of staying with it. I've always been passionate about trying to bring somebody along for the ride. And when I say that, I'm thinking about people that look like me and people not just that this black skin, but just people that look like me in the sense of somebody who you might want to give a chance to, but for some reason you don't. A lot of the way the world really works, in my perspective now, a lot of people are lost. They trapped. They still 20, 30 years behind in their way of thinking and believing that they could change their reality. I always wanted to share that with somebody, show them if I could do it, you definitely can. The mentoring, trying to share how I got through a lot of my situations. But it's basically a handyman is somebody who's willing to do, or at least willing to give it a try. That's really what it is, because there's no guarantee that it's gonna work, but I'm willing to try.
Thank you for sharing that passion behind it. What is Home Depot's Pro Referral?
Home Depot's Pro Referral, it is a program that Home Depot offers people like myself, handymen. First of all, it's a service that they set up for their clients, for Home Depot clients. It's set up and designed for the homeowner to be able to contact a pro, to be able to come and do a job for them without having to go through the hoops of trying to hire a bigger contractor. It's a handyman service for homeowners, and it's designed in a way so that guys like myself could be able to have leads. We have access to people who need our services. We get to offer that. It's a direct connect between myself as a pro and the client. Home Depot is there, just like Airbnb, for better words. It is there as a buffer to make sure that the client is protected throughout their process. So they have some comfort in knowing that they're dealing with people who've been vetted, people who've already been through screening process to be able to be in the house and things like that, background check. But it offers somebody like me to be able to grow from a handyman to a actual business where I'm actually making money and I'm not just a guy in a truck trying to make it work. I actually grew from that. It helps you be able to build your own company and build yourself. Man, it's one of the coolest things. More people should know about it. I talked to a guy literally just yesterday at a training and told him about it. He's another guy who's been in the field at an epoxy training. He's been doing things like this for years. He had no clue about it. It was just a great platform for people like me.
I love the fact that you realize that not you're passionate about mentoring other folks from places like where you came from, and black men with skills that have a drive and talent that they could use to make a living, create a business. But it's also really interesting to me that all of these handymen or talented folks that's been in business for so many years that could actually use that lifeline to scale don't know about it. So that's what's going to make this so amazing for you to start having these training classes. Truly believe that you have a clientele out here, not only the folks that you want to impact that may be just getting started like you were, but a lot of folks that have been in business and maybe in their journey, they're still hustling and they don't get the leads that you get regularly through Home Depot. It's really cool that you now turn it into a training program. I love the fact that they're doing the ratings, and what you brought up with Home Depot is they protect their client, the homeowner. So they have reviews. And you have all these 5-star reviews that help you earn this 5-star pro rating with Pro Referral and Home Depot. Tell me about how you've earned these 5-star rules. What's your principles that you go by?
If you're in this position, your first claim is that you're a businessman in business for yourself. Honestly, could tell you, it was times of me doing this where early on I used to go into these opportunities with the wrong attitude. I had employee mindset and the way I looked at it. And I would get in this situation, I get in people's houses, and I'm not giving them the best customer service. And I'm not remembering that I work for myself. It might not be easy. I might not be making a lot of money on this, but I'm focused on the wrong thing when I come through the door. And people gonna pick up on that. The energy start right there. As soon as you step up to the plate, it's attitude. The number one thing is how you see it. Seeing is being. Stephen Kovac. It's that foundation of thinking of what am I here for? And being able to not just understand that I'm here for money and to get paid, but I'm building something. I can't be coming in here thinking I'm gonna get my home run out of this one client. I'm gonna get rich right here today. That's a part of everything because it's your attitude going in from day one. And I could say that because after going in, being so willing and ready to do everything I can to share all my information I done learned over the years with people, tell them about pricing, help them with all kind of strategy, get them all my tips. That means something to them, and it means way more than what I even think because I hear that because I done had enough time to get those phone calls back 8 years later, 7 years later, 4 years, and somebody call the same number and they get somebody on the line and it's wow, you still doing the same thing? Are you still in the business? Yes, ma'am, I am. Had I not figured out early on to adjust my attitude when I'm here working for a day and later you giving me problems and I'm not even making nothing but $25 at the end of the day on this job. If I had that bad attitude, I would have never got to the other side of it. Trying to share that with people and get them to understand this is not you working for somebody. This is not you working for Home Depot. You don't work for nobody. You work for yourself. You got to figure out how to build on that and do yourself a service, not a disservice.
So you said attitude. What is something else that you live by to earn this status and keep this status? Because it's not only about earning these 5-star, it's about getting repeat clients, like you mentioned. What is another principle you live by?
First of all, it's the quality of the work. It's a standard. Pro level service is just that. And it's the reason why people choose you to do it. Bring somebody, all right, cool. Hey man, yeah, I like what you're doing. He'll tell me how he recognizes, man, you got these clients in this house and they want you to come in and do the work and they trust you to do this. And I tell them, hey man, I ain't never did this before. But if you come in, if you trust and follow my technique, approach it a certain way, just because you've never done it before, don't mean we can't do it. You have to know what the standard is as a pro, first of all, but then you got to put the work in. You got to do what you need to do and not have the attitude of I've been here 8 hours working on your house and you should be happy that I was here and I gave you my time and my energy. What people really looking for is it's a level of customer service and quality. It's a combination of both. Just keeping that in perspective. So
Right. What kind of leads do Home Depot send you through this program?
as a handyman, I'm set up in their system right now. Is two more than one status that you could hold with through this program. The way I started out, and I haven't changed it because I don't need to, it's working. But basically, my status is at a handyman status. where I don't have to have a general contractor's license or any other special license to be able to become a pro referral contractor for them in that capacity. But then they also have a next level where there are some jobs where you do. So if you want to become those, then you have to turn in the right paperwork for that. It's simply going to be a contractor's license, your insurance for your company, and your company docs. It's really straightforward. They do a background check.
What kind of jobs as a handyman are you able to get?
I could get a job from something as simple as installing a mailbox to a complete home renovation. Just past history of job situations going through the door. Even as a handyman, I've gone to one particular job I can remember. I knew I was going in to make $50. On the back end, I think I grossed probably 16,000 on that job. So you never know what it's actually going to be and what it could turn into. It's all about opportunity. And a lot of times people have profile, the way they set it up, or when they put in the ask, they might say they have cabinet repair or cabinet installation. The options they might ask their customers at three or more. They might put that in there, but you don't know. And I've walked right into that where it wasn't just three cabinets, it was a complete kitchen renovation, floor, walls, paint. It carries on. So you end up getting where, again, depending on your skill set, what you're able to do, if you like me, you try to get as much as you can. So here you are, you go in for cabinet work. So in cabinet work, you might end up with maybe $4,000 of cabinet work. Then you got floor work, and it's all in the same job. You go in, and now you got maybe $6,000 on a new hardwood floor installation or more. Then you got painting, and you got plumbing installation. You got all these different things that if you're able to do, you get to make money on. It's like you step into a cash cow. You just don't know, but it's all going to be based on proper preparation. Once you set up and you're in the race, you really can win. So
I love that. Yes. What do you want most from someone to come in to your training program? What do you want them to leave with?
for me, honestly, the best gift somebody could, if somebody left with the attitude of never, ever, ever considering working for somebody else again, knowing and seeing their potential and being able to, from wherever you at to wherever you want to be, honestly, it's really possible. It's real. You could actually change your whole life. Everything you saying you don't like about your life and your reality, you really can change it. You gonna have to grind. 10 years. Man, I was as scared as I ever been. We started out because I didn't have my feet under me in no way to feel like I was gonna be able to man the ship when it comes to being with somebody like you. But and for real, I'm 51. And for somebody who might be 40, 45, whatever point you at, if you might not be where you want to be, or you ended up where you are. That's where you at. You could really hustle your way to where you really trying to go. For me, if somebody walked in the room and thought all they needed was the right push and was willing to be pushed up for what I could offer you, what I could bring to the party in terms of just opening up my playbook to you and showing you this is how I did it. This is what I do right now today. This is it. If it looked good, try it out. You never know. You get what I'm saying? It might work. If somebody left with the confidence that they could do it, just
Right.
somebody getting rid of the employee mentality, seeing life through that lens.
That is wonderful. Obviously, I'm working with you on this program. I'm happy we're able to share this with the world. To see your growth in 10 years, you were already very skilled at everything you were doing. So, pivot or push, I'm going to present to you a few scenarios, and you're going to let us know if you're going to pivot out of that scenario or you're going to push to make it work. You're entering the workforce at 22. You're drawn to the gig economy and the flexibility it offers. You're considering a pivot of freelancing or sticking to a traditional 9 to 5 job that you currently have. You weigh your pros and cons of having job security, benefits, and the pursuit of a work life balance in today's dynamic job market. Do you pivot from the job or do you put?
It depends on what you're actually doing from but the job and what the potential of sticking with that offers. It only sounds good, I think, to other 22-year-olds to say, yeah, I'm gonna pivot and I'm gonna get out the boat and I'm gonna do my own thing. That's cool. I like the spirit of it, but At 22, I don't know if you got enough life experience to navigate your way through the pivot. So I'm gonna push.
Perfect. All right, so you're turning 30. You find yourself in a rent or buy dilemma for your home. You don't have substantial savings, but you do have an option to cash out on a modest investment portfolio and walk away with 30,000 to put down on a home. So you balancing the ideal of stability and housing aspirations, because obviously you can stay in your apartment for a little longer and keep that retirement, or you decide to step out there and do this. Pivot and cash out, or will you push through and save to buy a home?
I'm gonna cash out. I'm gonna go and buy me a camper, and I'm gonna live on the road. And I'm gonna cut all my worldly expenses down to as little as I can. And I'm not gonna be worried about how big my closet is and my kitchen and all this other stuff. And I'm gonna be smart. At 30. You ain't say I was 30 and married. You say I'm just 30 and man, I'm gonna wear the same dirty shoes since they in style at 30 now. They wear dirty shoes now, and that's cool. So I'm gonna be him. I'm serious, and I mean that for real. I'm killing all my worldly expenses. I'm living in that camper. I'm pulling up in your driveway. I'm gonna be at your house. Can I plug up? Can I plug up, cuz? Cuz I need to plug up. You know I need to plug up. That's what I'm doing
I love it. Okay, so
it.
now you're a few years older. We say mid 30s, and you are still working because you said you was going to be working anyway. This is just working out, not intentionally, but you're in a toxic work environment. Mid 30s, despite the toll on your mental health, the prospect of leaving a well paying job makes the decision complex. You're reflecting on long term well being versus your financial stability. Do you pivot away from the job or do you push? You like 35.
I push. And I push because now it's on me. I'm no longer a victim of my circumstances. Now I can make a decision. Now it's about self discipline. Now it's about sacrificing all these old things for what I need. I'm going to double down on my real hustle. Now I'm going to use whatever I can from the company to when the people that's paying me. I'm going to take advantage of everything you got to offer, soak y'all dry, and come up with my next move.
So basically, because I know how much you stand behind being an entrepreneur, you're saying if I'm 35 and I got a well paying job, it's time to build an exit strategy.
So it's a loaded strategy. You get what I'm
Yes,
saying? So it's a little bit of both.
absolutely. I love that. I get a chance to ask you to expand on one of these, and then we're going to wrap up. Maybe expand on, because I really think people want to know, are you buying a camper? So I'll give you just a few seconds to talk about the decision at 30 to buy a camper, why you would make that move.
For people who always talk about gems and jewels and all that, that right there, man, that's a black diamond. Y'all slipping. Y'all think that it ain't what it is when it is what it is. Once you get 50, you could easily go back to your 30s and pick out 7 to 8 years of completely wasted time. Completely wasted. It don't matter what you did with what you was doing, you wasted 7 out of 10 years of your, and you slept the other three. The truth is, at 50, you know that was the time to burn the candle right then, because you ain't never gonna be in a stronger physical state in your life than when you and mental. You had to now your brain finally formed up at 27, 28. You get what I'm saying? You got a whole brain in your head, and you could use it. But you could take what you already done learned, put a little discipline to it, and you're still young enough to imagine. You're young enough to imagine and go back to the days of a humble child. You could see how, man, this would be cool as hell to be in a camper and have no bills. I ain't really got no bills. I get to go where I want, when I want, do what I want, literally, and stack and stack. All they want to do is be available, be on scene nowadays. Man, I'm talking about I had a flyest camper in the world. And be stacking. A safe deposit box somewhere because I can't keep it with me. Have me a dog. Calm down and focus. I don't know what else would be stopping you. I mean, you ain't say 30 with a bunch of kids, 30 with a bunch of this and that. I'm 30, free as a bird. Man, I'm getting me a camper. And I'm gonna ride out. I'm telling you. And you talking about a handyman. You talking about somebody. You talking about me. That's why I'm it's on.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, honey, for being on the show and sharing these gems with our audience. You are a wonderful, talented man. I had fun with the conversation, so thank you.
Thank you, baby. I don't even want to go now. You got me started. Now we're gonna be like Monique and what's his name? City? I
Oh,
don't know what his
what is
name
it?
is.
What does she call
We
him?
could do this
Daddy?
thing. Daddy, mama. He call her mama,
Mama
mama.
and daddy?